Have you ever wondered how ambition and loyalty can shape a person's destiny? The story of Joab, King David's most powerful general, is a remarkable tale of triumph, conflict, and ultimate downfall. Joab's life reveals the complexities of leadership, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the timeless struggle between faith and power. Today, we'll explore the rise and fall of Joab, a man who played a pivotal role in securing David's throne, but whose actions often blurred the lines between loyalty and self-interest. From his early victories on the battlefield to his desperate bid for power in the final days, Joab's journey is both inspiring and cautionary, filled with lessons that resonate even in our modern lives. The Bible offers us unparalleled insights into the lives of its characters, and Joab's story is no exception. By diving into the decisions he made and the consequences he faced, we uncover valuable truths about integrity, ambition, and the importance of aligning our lives with God's will. Stay with us as we journey through this fascinating narrative, discovering what Joab's legacy means for us today. Joab's journey begins with the echoes of loyalty and bravery that defined his early years. As one of the sons of Zeruiah, David's sister Joab was already destined for a life intertwined with the affairs of the king. Yet, it was not just his lineage that earned him recognition. It was his fearless spirit on the battlefield. From the outset, Joab exhibited the qualities of a natural leader, a man who could inspire his troops with both courage and strategy. In those formative years, Joab stood out as a warrior, willing to risk everything for Israel. His pivotal role in capturing Jerusalem was a defining moment. The city, which later became the heart of Israel's spiritual and political life, owes much of its early establishment to Joab's determination. It was through his boldness that David solidified his reign, with Joab as a key figure in his rise to power. Joab's actions were not just military achievements. They symbolized his commitment to the kingdom and his loyalty to his uncle, King David. Joab's loyalty, however, was not without its complexities. While he supported David in times of trial, such as during Saul's pursuit, his methods were often ruthless. Joab demonstrated a tendency to prioritize results over principles, a trait that both elevated and complicated his role within David's army. It became clear that Joab's early successes were marked by both courage and controversy, a duality that foreshadowed his future struggles. As David began to establish his rule, Joab quickly became one of the most trusted figures in his court. He was a man of action, someone who could turn David's strategic vision into reality. Whether it was leading troops into battle or managing critical decisions in times of crisis, Joab's contributions were indispensable. Yet even as his reputation grew, whispers of his unyielding ambition began to circulate among those who observed his rise. One of Joab's earliest tests of character came during the ongoing wars against the Philistines. Leading Israel's armies into battle, Joab proved not only his prowess, but also his understanding of Israel's divine mission. He fought not for personal gain, but for the promise of God's covenant with Israel. His victories reflected a deep-seated belief in Israel's destiny, though his methods often raised eyebrows among his peers. Joab's early days also reveal the strong familial bonds that shaped his character. As a brother to Abishai and Asahel, he shared the battlefield with family, a dynamic that brought both strength and tragedy. When Asahel was killed by Abner, the commander of Saul's army, Joab's response set the stage for one of the most significant conflicts of his life. This early tragedy highlighted Joab's capacity for both loyalty and vengeance, themes that would resonate throughout his story. The foundation of Joab's legacy was built on these early days of triumph and turmoil. He was a man deeply intertwined with Israel's destiny and King David's success. Yet even in these early chapters, the seeds of his eventual downfall were being sown. Joab's ambition, combined with his unyielding nature, hinted at a future where loyalty and power would collide. Joab's rise as a military commander was marked by a series of bold and decisive victories that solidified his reputation as one of Israel's most powerful leaders. Under King David's rule, Joab led the armies of Israel with unmatched skill and determination. His strategies were often daring, relying on swift action and an unrelenting will to secure victory. These qualities not only won battles, but also instilled fear in the hearts of Israel's enemies. One of Joab's most notable triumphs was the defeat of the Ammonites and the Arameans. Faced with a formidable alliance, Joab divided his forces, demonstrating his strategic brilliance. By entrusting part of his army to his brother Abishai, he created a two-pronged attack that overwhelmed the enemy. Joab's leadership in this battle showcased not only his tactical acumen, but also his ability to inspire his troops to fight with courage and unity. In these moments, Joab's loyalty to David shone brightly. He understood that every battle was not merely a fight for land, but a defense of the covenantal promises that God had made to Israel. His victories were not just military achievements. They were acts of faith, protecting the land that God had chosen for his people. Joab's ability to combine his faith with his role as a warrior set him apart as a leader deeply committed to Israel's divine mission. However, Joab's boldness on the battlefield was not without controversy. His uncompromising nature often led him to make decisions that others found troubling. In his pursuit of victory, he sometimes displayed a ruthlessness that overshadowed his successes. This tension between heroism and brutality became a hallmark of Joab's leadership, earning him both admiration and fear among his contemporaries. Despite these challenges, Joab's victories played a critical role in establishing Israel as a dominant power in the region. Under his command, Israel expanded its territory and secured its borders, allowing David to focus on unifying the kingdom. Joab's contributions to these efforts were invaluable, and his unwavering commitment to David's vision helped shape Israel's golden age. Joab's leadership was also marked by moments of personal sacrifice. He often led from the front, putting himself in harm's way to inspire his troops. His courage was contagious, and his presence on the battlefield served as a rallying point for his soldiers. Joab's ability to command respect and loyalty from his men was a testament to his strength as a leader and a warrior. Yet, even in his greatest moments of triumph, Joab's actions hinted at the darker side of his character. His victories came at a cost, as his relentless pursuit of success sometimes alienated those around him. This duality of a man capable of great feats, but also prone to ruthless decisions, foreshadowed the challenges that would eventually lead to his downfall. Joab's character is one of the most complex in the Bible, embodying a striking duality: loyalty to King David and Israel on one hand, and an unyielding pursuit of personal power on the other. This tension between service and self-interest defines much of his story, making him a figure of both admiration and caution. On the surface, Joab's loyalty to David seemed unwavering. He served as the commander of Israel's army, faithfully executing David's commands and safeguarding the kingdom. Joab's role went beyond that of a military leader. He was a trusted advisor and a staunch defender of David's reign. Whether on the battlefield or in the political arena, Joab acted decisively to secure the stability of Israel, even in the face of great personal risk. Yet beneath this surface of loyalty lay an opportunist willing to bend the rules to maintain his influence. Joab's actions often blurred the line between obedience and self-interest. While he claimed to act for the good of the kingdom, his decisions frequently served his own ambition. This duality is perhaps best exemplified in his handling of rivals like Abner and Amasa, both of whom posed threats to his position as commander. Joab's murder of Abner, Saul's former general, illustrates this complexity. While Abner had defected to David and pledged loyalty to the king, Joab viewed him as a competitor. Under the guise of avenging his brother Asahel, Joab lured Abner into a trap and killed him. This act, while framed as loyalty to family and kingdom, was also a calculated move to eliminate a rival. David publicly condemned Joab's actions, but his dependence on Joab's military prowess left him unable to punish him, a testament to Joab's strategic position of power. Similarly, Joab's assassination of Amasa, another rival for the role of commander, demonstrated his ruthless opportunism. When David replaced Joab with Amasa as a gesture of reconciliation, Joab feigned allegiance only to strike when Amasa least expected it. This act secured Joab's position, but also revealed the lengths he would go to protect his authority, even at the cost of loyalty to the king. Despite these actions, Joab's loyalty to David was not entirely self-serving. He often acted in David's best interest, even when it required challenging the king. For instance, Joab played a critical role in orchestrating Absalom's return to Jerusalem, believing it would help heal the rift between David and his son. However, Joab's motives were not purely altruistic. By facilitating Absalom's return, he positioned himself as an indispensable mediator. Joab's dual nature creates a moral tension that invites reflection. Was he a loyal servant, willing to make hard decisions for the greater good, or a ruthless opportunist driven by self-preservation? Perhaps he was both, a man whose loyalty to David and Israel was genuine, but whose ambition often clouded his judgment. Joab's story reminds us of the complexities of leadership, where good intentions and personal ambition can coexist in a delicate balance. This complexity adds depth to Joab's legacy, challenging us to examine our own motives. Are we driven by a desire to serve others, or are we swayed by the allure of power and recognition? Joab's life offers both a cautionary tale and an opportunity for introspection. The rivalry between Joab and Abner is one of the most intense and dramatic conflicts in the Bible, rooted in both personal vengeance and political power. Their story showcases the fragile balance of loyalty, ambition, and justice within Israel's leadership, ultimately leading to a turning point in Joab's legacy. Abner, the commander of Saul's army, was a formidable leader and a strategic mind. After Saul's death, he initially supported Ishbosheth, Saul's son, as king. However, tensions between Abner and Ishbosheth led to Abner's decision to ally with David, offering his loyalty and the support of the northern tribes. This shift had the potential to unify Israel under David's rule, but it also posed a direct threat to Joab's authority as commander of David's army. For Joab, the conflict with Abner was deeply personal. His younger brother Asahel had been killed by Abner during a battle, an act that Joab could neither forgive nor forget. Although Abner's actions were in self-defense, Joab viewed the death as an affront to his family's honor. The seeds of revenge were planted, and Joab waited for the opportune moment to strike. When Abner came to Hebron to finalize his alliance with David, Joab saw his chance. Disregarding David's efforts to forge unity, Joab lured Abner into a private meeting under the pretense of peace. There, he struck him down in cold blood, avenging Asahel's death. This act, though framed as a matter of justice, was also a calculated move to eliminate a rival and secure Joab's position as David's most trusted commander. David's reaction to Abner's death was one of outrage and grief. He publicly condemned Joab's actions, declaring himself innocent of Abner's blood and mourning the loss of a potential ally. Yet, despite his disapproval, David lacked the political strength to punish Joab, whose control over the military made him indispensable. This dynamic highlighted the tension between David's moral authority and Joab's practical power, a theme that would recur throughout their relationship. The killing of Abner marked a pivotal moment in Joab's story. While it solidified his grip on power, it also tarnished his reputation and sowed seeds of discord within David's court. Joab's actions revealed the darker side of his character, a man willing to betray his king's trust to achieve his own ends. Yet it also underscored the complexities of leadership in a time of political upheaval, where loyalty and ambition often collided. Joab and Abner's clash is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and unresolved bitterness. Their conflict not only shaped the course of Israel's history, but also serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of allowing personal vendettas to overshadow the greater good. It challenges us to examine how we handle conflicts in our own lives. Do we seek reconciliation, or are we driven by the desire for revenge? The story of Absalom's rebellion is one of heartbreak and betrayal, and Joab's role in this tragic episode reveals the depth of his pragmatism and the limits of his loyalty. As David's son Absalom rose against him, Joab faced the impossible task of choosing between his king and the rebellious prince who sought to overthrow him. His decision in the heat of battle would shape his legacy and test his allegiance to David. Absalom's rebellion was deeply personal for David. Despite Absalom's actions, David's love for his son never wavered. Before the decisive battle in the forest of Ephraim, David issued a direct command to his generals, including Joab: "Deal gently for my sake with the young man Absalom." It was a plea born of a father's heart, even as his son threatened his kingdom. The battle ended in victory for David's forces, but Absalom's fate took a dramatic turn. As he fled on his mule, his thick hair became entangled in the branches of a tree, leaving him suspended and vulnerable. A soldier spotted him and informed Joab, reminding him of David's orders. However, Joab saw an opportunity to end the rebellion once and for all. Disregarding the king's command, Joab took 3 javelins and drove them into Absalom's heart, ensuring his death. Joab's decision was both calculated and controversial. From a military perspective, his actions were justified. Allowing Absalom to live would have posed an ongoing threat to the stability of David's reign. By eliminating him, Joab sought to protect the kingdom from further division. However, from a personal and moral standpoint, his defiance of David's explicit orders was a profound betrayal. When David received the news of Absalom's death, his grief was overwhelming. He wept bitterly, crying out, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I had died instead of you." Joab's actions had secured David's throne, but they had also broken his heart. The rift between David and Joab widened as the king struggled to reconcile his gratitude for Joab's loyalty to the kingdom with his anguish over the loss of his son. Joab, ever the pragmatist, confronted David in the aftermath of the battle. He rebuked the king for his public mourning, warning him that his soldiers, who had risked their lives for him, might lose their loyalty if they felt unappreciated. Joab's blunt words brought David back to his senses, demonstrating once again his unwavering commitment to the stability of the kingdom, even at the cost of personal relationships. The death of Absalom and Joab's role in it remain a point of contention in his legacy. Was Joab a loyal servant who made the hard choices that David could not, or was he a man whose ambition and disregard for authority led him to defy his king? The truth, as with much of Joab's story, lies somewhere in between. His actions invite us to consider the weight of leadership and the cost of difficult decisions. The relationship between Joab and King David was as complex as it was vital to the stability of Israel. Joab served as David's commander-in-chief, a role that gave him immense influence over the kingdom. Yet, their bond was often marked by tension, as Joab's pragmatic decisions frequently clashed with David's moral and spiritual ideals. This dynamic raises a compelling question: was Joab a loyal friend to David, or a dangerous foe to his authority? Joab's influence over David stemmed from his unwavering ability to deliver results. Time and again, he proved indispensable to the king, whether by leading victorious campaigns, quelling rebellions, or advising on matters of state. His steadfast loyalty to the kingdom ensured that David's reign remained secure, even in times of great turmoil. For David, Joab was more than a commander. He was a confidant and an enforcer of difficult decisions. However, Joab's loyalty was not without its complications. His actions often placed David in morally compromising positions. For example, Joab orchestrated the death of Uriah the Hittite, following David's command to cover up his affair with Bathsheba. While David bore ultimate responsibility, Joab's willingness to execute such a plan highlighted his readiness to act without regard for ethical boundaries. This event deepened the moral divide between the two men, even as it solidified Joab's role as David's trusted enforcer. One of the most striking examples of Joab's influence was his ability to confront David with brutal honesty. After Absalom's death, when David's public mourning threatened to alienate his troops, Joab did not hesitate to challenge him. "You love those who hate you and hate those who love you," Joab told the king, urging him to address his army and restore their morale. While his words were harsh, they reflected a loyalty to the kingdom that outweighed his personal regard for David's feelings. Despite Joab's loyalty, his ambition often put him at odds with David's authority. His unauthorized killing of Abner and Amasa, two rivals for his position as commander, undermined David's efforts to unify Israel. These acts of defiance showcased Joab's tendency to prioritize his own power over the king's directives. David's inability to discipline Joab further demonstrated the delicate balance of their relationship. Joab's military strength made him indispensable, yet his actions often compromised David's vision for a just and united kingdom. As David aged and the question of succession loomed, Joab's influence became even more pronounced. He initially supported Adonijah, David's son, in his bid for the throne, defying David's wishes to anoint Solomon as his successor. This betrayal marked the ultimate fracture in their relationship and set the stage for Joab's eventual downfall under Solomon's reign. Joab's relationship with David is a testament to the complexities of leadership and loyalty. While he was a steadfast protector of the kingdom, his actions often reflected a conflict between serving the king and serving himself. Their story challenges us to consider the balance between loyalty to authority and personal ambition. Can true loyalty exist without compromise, or is it always tempered by self-interest? Joab's ambition often clashed with his loyalty, and nowhere is this more evident than in his betrayal of Amasa, his cousin and rival. This episode not only highlights Joab's ruthless nature, but also underscores the lengths he was willing to go to maintain his power and influence in David's kingdom. Amasa, a son of Abigail, David's sister, was appointed commander of David's army during Absalom's rebellion. This decision displaced Joab, a move David likely made to pacify Amasa and promote unity after the rebellion. For Joab, however, this was both a professional insult and a direct threat to his authority. The appointment of Amasa stirred resentment, as it undermined Joab's years of loyal service and his pivotal role in securing David's throne. Despite this tension, Joab concealed his true feelings toward Amasa, outwardly maintaining a facade of loyalty. However, his resentment festered, and he awaited the right moment to reclaim his position. That opportunity came during Sheba's rebellion, a critical moment when the kingdom faced another threat of division. David ordered Amasa to assemble the troops to quell the uprising, but Amasa delayed, giving Joab the perfect excuse to take matters into his own hands. As Amasa gathered the troops, Joab approached him under the pretense of reconciliation. Greeting him with a kiss, a customary sign of respect, Joab suddenly drew his sword and struck Amasa, killing him in cold blood. The act was swift and shocking, leaving no room for Amasa to defend himself. By eliminating Amasa, Joab secured his position as commander once again, reinforcing his authority within David's army. This betrayal reveals Joab's cunning and determination. His willingness to kill a family member highlights his prioritization of power over relationships. To Joab, the stability of the kingdom and his control over its military outweighed personal bonds or ethical considerations. However, this act also deepened the divide between Joab and David, as the king increasingly viewed Joab's methods as a liability rather than an asset. Joab's betrayal of Amasa marked a turning point in his career, solidifying his reputation as a man who would stop at nothing to maintain his influence. While his actions ensured the immediate stability of the kingdom, they also created an undercurrent of distrust and fear among those around him. Joab's pragmatic but ruthless approach to leadership left a trail of broken relationships and moral compromises, foreshadowing the challenges he would face in the future. The story of Amasa and Joab forces us to confront the cost of ambition. How far are we willing to go to achieve our goals? Are we, like Joab, prepared to sacrifice relationships and integrity for the sake of success? These questions resonate as we reflect on the balance between ambition and morality in our own lives. The transition of power from King David to Solomon marked the beginning of the end for Joab. For decades, Joab had been a central figure in David's reign, wielding immense power as the commander of Israel's army. Yet, as David's health declined and Solomon's ascension approached, Joab's political maneuvering and unchecked ambition began to catch up with him. Joab's decline was largely tied to his decision to support Adonijah, David's eldest surviving son, in his bid for the throne. Adonijah's claim seemed natural, as he was the eldest and had the support of influential figures, including Joab and Abiathar the priest. However, Joab's support for Adonijah was not merely about loyalty. It was a calculated move to secure his own position in the new administration. He likely believed that siding with Adonijah would allow him to retain his role as commander and protect his influence. Unbeknownst to Joab, David had already chosen Solomon, the son of Bathsheba, as his successor. David, acting swiftly under the guidance of the prophet Nathan and Bathsheba, publicly declared Solomon king. This move not only thwarted Adonijah's plans, but also left Joab exposed. By aligning himself with the wrong candidate, Joab found himself on the losing side of history, a rare miscalculation for the otherwise astute general. Once Solomon took the throne, Joab's fate was sealed. The new king sought to consolidate his power and eliminate any threats to his reign. Joab's long history of defiance and unchecked actions made him a liability. Solomon, acting on the advice of David, sought to bring justice for the blood Joab had shed unlawfully, particularly the murders of Abner and Amasa. Realizing his precarious position, Joab fled to the altar of the Lord, seeking sanctuary, a desperate attempt to avoid execution. However, Solomon's resolve was firm. He ordered Benaiah, the new commander of the army, to strike Joab down, even at the altar. Joab's death marked the end of an era, closing the chapter on one of Israel's most powerful and controversial figures. Joab's downfall serves as a sobering reminder of the consequences of ambition unchecked by humility. While his loyalty to David and his contributions to Israel's military success were undeniable, his ruthless pursuit of power and disregard for divine authority ultimately led to his demise. His story challenges us to reflect on our own motivations. Are we, like Joab, driven by ambition at the expense of integrity? Or can we balance our desires for success with a commitment to faith and humility? As the sun set on King David's reign, Joab, the once unstoppable general of Israel, found himself on shaky ground. After decades of wielding immense power, his final act was a desperate attempt to cling to his influence, a move that would seal his fate and define the legacy of his downfall. Joab's support for Adonijah's bid for the throne was a calculated gamble. Adonijah, as the eldest surviving son of David, appeared to be the natural successor. By aligning with him, Joab likely hoped to secure his position as commander of the army under the new administration. This was not merely a political decision, but a survival tactic. Joab had made many enemies over the years, and a shift in power without his backing could leave him vulnerable to retribution. However, Joab underestimated the strength of Solomon's supporters. David, swayed by the counsel of Nathan the prophet and Bathsheba, decisively declared Solomon king before his death. This swift action undermined Adonijah's plans and left Joab exposed as a conspirator against the rightful heir. For the first time in his career, Joab's instinct for survival had failed him, and the consequences were severe. Realizing his miscalculation, Joab retreated to the sacred altar, seeking sanctuary. In ancient Israel, the altar was a place of divine refuge where individuals could plead for mercy. Joab's choice to flee there was a sign of his desperation. He understood that his actions had placed him beyond the protection of politics. Now, only divine intervention could save him. However, Solomon's resolve was unshaken. Guided by his father David's final instructions, Solomon viewed Joab as a threat to the stability of his reign. The murders of Abner and Amasa, along with Joab's defiance, weighed heavily on his record. Solomon's decision to execute Joab was not merely an act of punishment, but a statement of his own authority as the new king. Benaiah, Solomon's newly appointed commander, was sent to carry out the sentence. Despite Joab's plea for mercy at the altar, Benaiah struck him down, bringing an end to the life of one of Israel's most powerful and controversial figures. Joab's death marked the culmination of his rise and fall, a man who had achieved greatness, but whose ambition ultimately consumed him. Joab's final act is a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of power and the importance of aligning ambition with integrity. His life challenges us to consider the legacy we leave behind. Are our actions guided by faith and humility, or are we driven by the pursuit of personal gain? Joab's story, though tragic, offers a profound lesson on the cost of unchecked ambition. Joab's life is a tapestry of triumph and tragedy, woven with threads of loyalty, ambition, and moral compromise. As one of the most prominent figures in King David's court, Joab's story offers profound lessons on leadership, integrity, and the consequences of our choices. His rise and fall serve as both an inspiration and a cautionary tale for anyone navigating the complexities of power and faith. One of the key lessons from Joab's story is the danger of unchecked ambition. Joab's relentless pursuit of power led him to commit acts of betrayal and violence that ultimately overshadowed his contributions to Israel. His willingness to eliminate rivals such as Abner and Amasa revealed a heart more focused on securing his position than on serving God's purposes. This aspect of his character challenges us to examine our own motivations. Are we striving to glorify God in our endeavors, or are we driven by selfish ambition? Another lesson lies in Joab's complex relationship with loyalty. On one hand, he was fiercely devoted to David, risking his life and reputation to secure the king's throne. On the other, his defiance of David's commands, such as the killing of Absalom, demonstrated a loyalty that was often conditional and self-serving. Joab's story reminds us that true loyalty must be rooted in integrity and a commitment to doing what is right, even when it is difficult. Joab's life also underscores the importance of accountability. Throughout his career, Joab acted with little regard for consequences, relying on his indispensable role to shield him from punishment. However, his actions eventually caught up with him. Under Solomon's reign, Joab faced justice for his misdeeds, proving that no one is beyond the reach of accountability. This serves as a powerful reminder that our actions, whether good or bad, will ultimately bear fruit. Faith, or the lack thereof, is another central theme in Joab's story. While he fought to protect Israel and fulfill God's covenant, his reliance on pragmatism over divine guidance often led him astray. Joab's failure to seek God's will in critical moments highlights the importance of aligning our decisions with our faith. His story challenges us to trust in God's plan, even when it conflicts with our own ambitions. Finally, Joab's downfall illustrates the fleeting nature of earthly power. Despite his many victories and decades of influence, his legacy was tarnished by his unchecked ambition and moral compromises. His story invites us to consider what truly matters in life. Are we building a legacy of faith, love, and service, or are we chasing after temporary power and recognition? Joab's life is a mirror, reflecting both the potential for greatness and the perils of human frailty. It encourages us to seek wisdom, humility, and accountability in our own journeys. By learning from his successes and failures, we can strive to lead lives that honor God and inspire others. Joab's story is a powerful reminder of the complexities of human ambition and the consequences of our choices. As King David's most trusted general, he achieved incredible victories and played a critical role in shaping Israel's history. Yet, his unchecked ambition, ruthless decisions, and lack of spiritual alignment ultimately led to his downfall. Through Joab's rise and fall, we are reminded of the importance of humility, accountability, and faith. His life challenges us to examine our own hearts. Are we driven by a desire to serve God and others, or are we consumed by the pursuit of personal gain? Joab's successes and failures teach us that true greatness comes not from power, but from a life lived in obedience to God's will. As we reflect on Joab's legacy, let us seek to align our actions with integrity and purpose. May his story inspire us to build a life rooted in faith, compassion, and service, leaving behind a legacy that glorifies God. Prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the lessons we can learn from Joab's story. Help us to lead lives that reflect your love and truth. Teach us to surrender our ambitions to your will and to seek your guidance in all we do. May we be faithful servants, building legacies that honor you. In Jesus' name, amen. If this message has touched your heart, don't forget to share this video with others who might find it inspiring. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss more stories that can strengthen your faith and bring you closer to God.